Here in part 3 of our little review of the Taurus Model 66, I'm taking this thing out to the range today, and I gotta say, first impressions, this thing is doing really, really well. I'm really happy with how this thing works. First thing I did was sight this thing in, and the white dots, those are my sighter holes. This was out at 25 yards, and then as I move this around over the brighter background, you can see the actual holes of a 5-shot group that I did, and you can see it's not too bad. I did all this offhand, no rest or anything like that at 25 yards. You can see a little bit of horizontal, or the horizontal is actually really tight, and there's some vertical stringing. And really, that's just going to be from my own poor shooting. There's going to be a little flinch in there, a little trigger jerk. But really, that's not too shabby. I mean, I've done better, but I've definitely done a lot worse. I don't think anything happening there is coming down to the gun. It's just me. A little bit more training that I need, a little more trigger time. You might not be able to see this too well, but the sight picture is quite nice. Pretty easy to acquire a target with this thing, and it's especially easy with this massive sight radius to place an accurate shot on something a little bit long for a pistol. Those 25-yard shots weren't all that difficult, and really stretching this thing out to 50, 100 yards, it's not really a problem. Another thing that I've really been enjoying today is the rubber grip here. Of course, I like a good wood grip or any of the others, but this feels really nice too. It does soak up a little bit of the recoil, and it makes your hand stay in one place too. I really like that. As I was kind of expecting in the initial benchtop review, I love the trigger on this thing. This feels so much better than the Model 607 that I originally had. It's just so light, so crisp in that single action mode. It really does feel like, you know, it could perform very well up against Smith & Wesson or Colt or any of those. Another thing that I was kind of expecting in the benchtop review, I was expecting for there to be a bit more muzzle jump just because this thing is lighter in weight, has less mass. It has less mass out on the barrel in particular, and it doesn't have the compensators up front. So yeah, I am noticing that this thing is kicking up quite a bit more. I mean, it's not huge, it's definitely manageable, but I can tell a difference, mostly in my thumbs that I have right along the side there when I'm shooting. When this thing jumps and then comes back down, it's just beating that thumb pretty good. I might have to come up with a new grip. Another interesting thing that I really wasn't expecting, my old Speedloader for the Model 607 does not work in here at all. It's a 7-shot cylinder, but this just does not fit. And most of it has to do with the grip. If you can see right there, it's just coming up against the grip, and the cylinder is so close to the frame that there's no way to get this thing in there. I don't know if they make one specific for this gun. I really don't know how I could get a Speedloader in this tiny little space, just because everything's smaller on this than the 607. But we'll see. The pills that I'm putting through the Taurus Model 66 today, these are Handloads. At the front, we have 125 grain Rainier lead-safe plated hollow point bullets, backed up by a 22.3 grain charge of 300 MP from Alliant. These things are moving out pretty fast. They're clocked at 1,446 feet per second, and that's my own chronograph that I used on that. That's over 100 feet per second faster and 10 grains heavier than my standard 9mm load. Now, I've watched a little Top Shot, and I've kind of realized some things about those of us in the community that own firearms. And, you know, from that show I've gleaned that we're not really interested in, you know, the facts and figures like, you know, how long a barrel is, what the sighting radius is, how fast the bullet leaves the muzzle, all that kind of stuff. What we're really interested in is relationship, and I'd like to kind of bring that into my videos a bit more. So what I'd like to do is introduce this first character. And we're going to see how the relationship between it and this goes. I think we should see some sparks fly. By way of contrast, how does a 9mm hollow point fare? Okay, that comparison was useless. I couldn't have drawn a piece of paper between those two. That was an incredible mess from both of them. I gotta say, 9mm is pretty impressive. But if you want that little extra oomph, man, 357 Magnum, get that little bit of extra speed, a little bit extra mass behind those things, and you can really cook those loads so that they are booking. Around here, it's even legal to use for deer. Kind of cool. Here are my parting shots on the Taurus Model 66. I think that this is really just a great little revolver, and I'm very grateful that Taurus sent this to me as a replacement for that 607. I'm really looking forward to shooting this over the years, and at some point I will do, you know, kind of a long-term review on this just to see how it's doing, make sure that you know, everything's still accurate, everything's running. I really expect that this thing is going to break in nicely. You know, as it is, everything's humming along pretty well. Just a little bit of fit and finish on some moving parts like the cylinder. Those will wear in, and I'm really thinking that this is going to be a fantastic piece.